Texas. I live in Florida. So I do all the rocket launches from Kennedy Space Center.
Very
Um,
cool.
as long as weather permitting for me, because I didn't go to that launch the other night because it was really cold here. So I did it from my lanai. I live 1 mile, less than a mile from the river across from the VAB. So I live about 3 miles from the visitor center. I'm very close, and I do have media credentials. Um,
Whoa.
so right now, I'm waiting for approval on the green run test that will be at Stennis. And if I get approved, I'm going to go to that. Don't know how, but I'm going to go. And then we got the OFT coming up for Boeing Starliner, and then we have the rollout for Starliner coming up. And then the next biggest thing on my list that I will be broadcasting is the Mars landing,
Mm.
which is
That
on the
comes
18th.
on 18th.
Yep. They changed the date.
Okay.
So
Well, that's cool. That's very
Yeah.
cool. And so, what started your love of all things space?
My mom worked in the aerospace industry from all my life. That's what my mother worked on guidance. Um, and she always took me to Florida, watching the rocket launches. And then I took my kids when the shuttle program was ending and they were doing a lottery program. I got my kids to one of the launches. I got lucky
Wow,
enough to go.
that's cool.
Um, and then I'm originally from New Jersey, so my mother worked for Bendix Allied Signal, and then she retired to Georgia. Kind of followed her there. They got sick, and then I came to Florida, and I lucked out and showed a launch on Periscope, and I was known as Murphy Pack back then, and they kind of coined me with the Space Gal. I was the first one to ever live stream the rockets coming back on the autonomous drone ship into the port. Um, and then I'm very fortunate to work with a company called the Talk of Titusville. And I have my media credentials through him. And that's how I get to go to the launches on property.
That is so cool. Wow.
Yeah.
And I also got a nickname on Periscope, but I'm never allowed to use it. Every time I try putting it in, it blocks it.
Uh-huh.
But now, Stephen, how did you get involved in space? I mean, you're from Toronto. There's almost no space out there.
Yeah.
There's
Well,
stars.
I grew up with the Apollo missions and the Gemini missions, and so I mean, back then there was only no cable, just 2 or 3 networks, and they used to show all the Apollo liftoffs, all the lunar stuff, and I was glued to the TV watching that. I was glued to my old black and white TV watching that stuff, and I had models that I built of them. I had puzzles that I built of them. There's nothing. I don't think. I don't. Maybe the Falcon Heavy, but none of the rockets they use today can compare to the Saturn V rockets.
The
Those things.
Artemis is going to be larger.
Oh, is it going to be larger? Because that's Saturn V, wouldn't it?
1.6 million pounds of thrust, and I can't wait to be there. That's what the green run test is.
That was a nickname from Periscope.
Yeah. So it is not a pay-per-view event. Actually, it will be on NASA TV, and anyone can join in. But I will broadcast it on my stream. So I actually was at the launch. I actually got to go into the clean room for that. All my stuff is on Instagram. It's one of the best places to follow me, or my Periscope Space Gal on Facebook for all my content.
And so you're Space Gal on Instagram as well?
_ Space Gal _ on Instagram, Space Gal on YouTube. I'm not the Space Gal. There is a girl out there called the Space Gal, but I'm not her. I don't claim to be Emily or anything like that. So, but
I claimed to be Emily for a little while, but I changed. I thought about it and I was like, nah. Well, that's great. And by the way, anybody who is coming in just to check me out, who's not subscribing to me, make sure you subscribe to me here on Happs. Subscribe to Space Girl, to Steven, to Admiral, to Jack Beery, anybody who has been on the show, but especially me. And I'll have more of these where I interview every single broadcaster that's ever been on Happs. I honestly I thought about it 3 minutes before I went live, and I said that'll be a good idea. And I'm glad I did because I'm meeting people like Space Gal and. Now I already knew Admiral and Steven, so that's great. How often do you broadcast, Space Gal?
I broadcast in the morning, and then around 11 a.m. I just do coffee chats. This evening I did cooking because everyone loves when I cook for some reason.
Oh, cool.
So, and then I do evenings about 10:30. I usually go live in the evenings, and whenever there's anything rocket related, I'm all over it. So,
Do you like the movie Guardians of the Galaxy?
never saw it.
What?
I'm not a big movie. I'm not a big movie person. If my sons watched it, then I probably seen it. But I'm not
All
a big
right.
movie or TV person.
What about IMAX? What about Pink Floyd Laser Show?
Yes, because I grew up with Pink Floyd.
Right, and there's a lot of outer space stuff in that.
There is, and there's a restaurant I actually went to and live streamed that the other day. That's Pink Floyd and Jimi Hendrix kind of related, which was kind of
I was
cool.
like, wait a second, how do you go to a restaurant? I'm like, oh, you're in Florida, so the
yes,
pandemic doesn't exist there.
No, it exists here. Please don't. Our numbers are very down, way down,
Good.
way down.
Good.
We number one, number two, we're over 2 million doses have been given out and stuff. And beyond people's stereotyping, pretty much everyone wears masks.
Good.
I promise you. I don't go out. I'm high risk, so I stay
Yeah.
home. I do go out.
Well-
like I had to go food shopping today, so I
Yeah.
mean,
Listen,
in
my
and out.
parents were in Boca Raton for the first several months, and they were
Yep.
like, we can't even go for a walk because nobody wears a mask. I believe that where you are, I'm sure people are, and I assume that if you were in a restaurant that you were wearing a mask, I was just teasing.
No. Restaurants are pretty much in compliance with social distancing still, and we have people that blast the ones that aren't wearing masks.
Good. That's good.
People don't go to. I don't go out to eat. I cook. I love to cook.
Good.
I did go
What
to
kind
that
of
one
what kind of stuff do you
restaurant.
like to cook?
I cook everything from I had weight loss surgery.
Oh, wow.
It'll be 14 years ago on
Wow.
Valentine's Day.
Oh, that's a day to do it.
Well, I know, right? But we
Good
won't
for you.
mention
That's great.
I had major back surgery that day in 2012. It just
Ugh.
seems all my surgeries are on Valentine's Day.
Just take a nap that day. It's a good day to just sit it out.
It is what it is. It's a good memory for me.
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
So I cook healthy. I cook like tonight I made T-bone steak with the baked potato and zucchini fries.
Good for
and
you.
stuff. But I'll do. Someone wanted me to show them how to make stuffed peppers, so I'll be doing that either tomorrow or the next night when she's not working. I do chicken and dumplings. I can do soul cooking, stir fries, Chinese. I don't do nothing spicy because I can't have no spice because I have an ulcer.
Oh yeah,
So,
you don't want to mix spice with the ulcer. Definitely not.
Yeah. Well, my ulcer's in my pouch because I've had Roux-en-Y. So
I don't know what that means, but
it's the full. I had full gastric bypass. I didn't have the sleeve, so I'm like 100% sugar free.
Wow.
Hello.
So yep. Helen's
What was
here.
that?
Helen.
I did. I was like, whoa, what's
Blake, go back and watch the replay.
Welcome, Helen. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm sorry it took me a little bit of time to get in. I actually nodded off for a change. I got some sleep, but you can see where I've been sleeping on. My face has got that.
Helen, I think this is the first time we're actually live together, Helen.
Yeah.
We're not actually in the chat.
I know, it's amazing.
It's very exciting to me. And listen, Helen, I don't know if you've ever watched the show Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. but my kid and I watch it every day, and there's a Scottish guy in it. I think he's Scottish. And so talking to you, I'm like, oh, it's Fitz.
So is it a legit accent or is it someone doing an accent? Because that never goes well.
He is either British or Scottish or possibly Welsh. I think he is Scottish. I don't know, but his accent's pretty damn good.
I think most Americans are only exposed to Scottish accents if it's a Canadian that's doing them. You know, like Shrek and Fat Bastard from, you know, yeah, it's always
You mean
Mike
Mike
Myers.
whose grandmother was Scottish. That's why he wanted to do Shrek in a Scottish voice.
Yeah, and it's still
He
a terrible accent. But
Yeah, he redid the entire voice after he just did it in his regular Canadian accent. He wanted to do it in Scottish accent.
So we have friends that live in Edinburgh, and my wife lived in Edinburgh for a while.
okay.
So, you know, I've heard the legit Scottish accent, and so our friend Lorna married my wife's friend Ken, who's American, and she lived here for maybe 10 years, and now they're living over there.
Okay. Cool.
Yep.
So have you been over? Have you visited? No.
I never have, no.
No. Well,
I would like
that's
to.
that's your post-COVID
Yeah.
aim. Everybody who visits loves it.
Oh yeah. No, I've heard it's really nice and rainy and depressing, but also great.
You've got to remember that today's rain is tomorrow's whiskey. You know, you've always got to look on the bright side of things.
Well, that's no. I'm in a whiskey club, and so we talk about Scotland a lot. So, yeah. Hey, Tracy. Tracy, how you doing, Tracy? Now today I wanted to interview everybody that's ever broadcast on Happs, but I realized I only gave myself like 45 minutes, so it's probably not going to happen.
Very ambitious.
Well, it's a good start, though, right? So I want to learn about you, Helen. So, what type of stuff do you? Oh, I changed it. So now, hang on. Let me change it back so you're in camera frame. There we go. So, Helen, when you broadcast, what do you broadcast about? Like, what's your deal?
There is no structure really. The one thing that I will be doing that's structured is I want to bring back Blind Date. Now I know that you guys, I think you called it the dating game in America.
Yes.
I used to do a thing on Periscope called Perry Blind Date, and it was essentially the dating game. So I want to bring back that back on a Sunday, sort of evening my time.
Okay, listen, I have to talk to my wife, but I'm down. Okay.
No, the one prerequisite is you have to be single, because I'm not going to be, you know, a conduit for any shenanigans.
This is racist.
But generally it's chit chat. My main passion in life is music. I've been immersed and involved in the music industry my entire adult life. My main job is actually photography, but because of COVID, obviously. There are no photography jobs. I'm being honest.
Right.
It's dead. But I have a
my
little.
My sister was a photographer. I mean, my sister is still alive and healthy, but she's no longer a photographer. She went to school. Have you ever heard of RIT?
I haven't, but I can understand why she wouldn't be a photographer, because it's such an oversaturated market. It's difficult to make money in.
Oh my God,
she was a producer. Here. Yeah, she was a photo producer and would hire the photographers for the New York Marathon, and then would like make sure they were all where they're supposed to be and take pictures and everything. But yeah, it's tough. So have you switched careers, or you think you're taking a break, or what are you doing?
The focus has become the radio show. I was offered, it's one of those things, you know, I know that you're pushed for time, but I was helping a friend out on Periscope who was doing a 32-hour long broadcast to raise funds for his radio station. And I had gone in for a few hours to help him out, because, you know, sitting in a cupboard on your own for 32 hours is it's a feat.
I've done it.
It's not pleasant. And whilst I was talking on air, two of the bosses from the station rocked up and offered me my own show because they liked my voice.
Wow.
And it happened on Periscope. I just recently found the footage. So, you know, it's quite funny watching it back. I was very complacent at the time, and, you know.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so I've been doing that since October 2019, so it's only just over a year.
You just never know when something like that is going to happen. Now, so is that a Scottish radio station in particular, or is it international? Or
Well, that station was a local community FM station, so you'd listen locally on FM, but obviously it had a facility to listen online as well. I've actually subsequently switched stations because they closed the studio down because of COVID. And we had to pre-record from home. So pre-recording from home for a station that's almost a 2-hour drive away doesn't really make much sense. So I've switched to a local Edinburgh station, which is internet only. So that's where I'm at.
That's so cool. Well, good for you. That's great. And you have a great voice, so I can understand why they want you for a radio show.
Hey, Helen, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, if you want to commandeer my broadcast, sure, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, sorry. You're a photographer, right?
Uh-huh.
Why not go to landscape or nature?
I just don't have the patience for it, Alicia. That involves a tripod and setting things up and being, patient. And I'm very much a capture. I've come from live music photography. Most of what I've done is live music and comedians actually, and working for the Edinburgh Fringe and things like that. So it's very spontaneous, very quick. When I took on the studio, more portraiture and weddings came from that, but it's so difficult to go from spontaneous catching, live action to, landscape or architecture. I love looking at those photos, but I don't have the patience to take them.
Maybe you should get some. You have a lot of time, right, on your hands.
Well,
I'm just saying.
Geez.
Not so much with the radio. The radio stuff at the moment almost has become like a full-time job. I feel like I'm doing that all the time, but that I'll need to pare that back when the photography becomes busy
I'll give you something fast. Chase rockets, because I'm taking photography classes to get myself with my aperture and settings, because you go to a night launch and then it's full daylight. Like your settings are.
No, I understand exactly what you're saying.
And the market. Oh my God. Because you get some people that are just amazing photographers, and they capture the rocket going over the moon, and you just hope one day to get that,
I think it's really important to, if you're going to do photography, to do what you enjoy shooting. And photographing people, for me, you're kind of capturing a little essence of them, whether it's a long, sitting for a portrait, or whether it's their wedding day, or whether it's, just, capturing someone on stage. You're telling a story, and landscape just doesn't quite do that for me.
Yeah, well, you see mine with the animals, and I went to the abandoned building, and I get nature because I have so much nature around here, So
I love being immersed in that. Sorry, go on, Aaron.
What and thank you, Space Gal. Good suggestions there. So, Helen, what is your morning show about? Is it about anything in particular, or is it just kind of like personality driven? You do some news. What are you doing?
Sorry, the radio show.
Yes.
It's a once a week on a Thursday evening, a 2-hour music based show, and it predominantly focuses on electronic music and new artists that are unsigned, unsigned independent artists that aren't on a record label, that wouldn't normally get. Basically, if it wouldn't normally be heard on on commercial radio, I'll play it. It's to try and. My aim is, if someone listens to the show, I want them to discover something they haven't heard before. That's
very cool.
So it's just one little 2-hour show once a week. When I worked at the FM station, it was a 3-hour show, but putting that 2-hour show together takes hours and hours of research and sifting through emails. And now that it's becoming a little bit popular, and I'm consistently in the top 40 Mixcloud chart, I've got artists, they want to be.
That's really great.
It's lovely, and it's I'm passionate about it. I've met some great musicians. It's really hard for me to tell someone if I don't like their music, because who am I to tell them that?
What my wife would do. My wife was a mom blogger for a while. She was pretty well known, and people would send her stuff all the time to like review and stuff like that. And if she didn't like it, she just wouldn't comment on it. And which is not to say she would ignore people that sent it, but she would just, she just wouldn't say anything about it, as opposed to like writing a blog and saying like, this was terrible.
Yeah.
And that was kind of her way of just separating it. She would just only talk about what she liked. Now, by the way, if anybody's coming in here and you're a broadcaster, now I'm going to be ending this session of Aaron interviews every broadcaster that's ever broadcasted on Happs in a couple of minutes, but I'll have more of them. So make sure you subscribe to me, and feel free to message me even here on, this broadcast. I'll also put my email address in the comments here. If you want to get on my email list, or if you want to be a future interviewee, just let me know. And Helen, we didn't get that much time with you, so I'd love to work with you again. I could just listen to you talk all day. I love your accent.
I wanted to come in because it was very generous of you to invite me as soon as I stepped in the room. I still had the drool dribbling down my face from the nap that I'd the impromptu
Oh yeah,
nap.
no, listen, I just sprung this on everybody, so I don't. Yeah, I'm honored that you all came on.
Yeah.
So I hope you will come back, and everybody, by the way. And so
I would like to just, sorry, Aaron, I'd like to just throw in there that you are a great broadcaster. Aaron's a great broadcaster and funny. If you want a chuckle, obviously he's a comedian. You would hope that he'd be funny, but he is, so he's worth following regardless of whether he's interviewing people or not.
Well, thanks. That's very nice of you to say. And
let's throw that in there.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate that. And so I want to thank Space Gal for coming on. And so make sure you follow Space Gal here, subscribe to her. What do they call it here? Subscribe? Yeah, subscribe. Yeah, make sure you subscribe to Space Gal and to my friend Steven. Not only is Steven a very good, not only does he have a really interesting broadcast as well, but he's also very funny. He's one of my comedy students, so he's very funny.
I've got the best profile picture.
Oh, that's right. It's me and you in the profile picture, right? And then also our friend Helen and Jack Bury, and don't forget Admiral, who was on before. We got 5 or so broadcasters, so it's a good start. The best ones,
obviously,
the best ones to start with, right?
Yeah. Yes, of course.
Yeah, and
but
so
thank
I'll
you
look
for
out
having
for
me.
Yeah, anytime. Look out for your broadcasts as well. And tomorrow night, by the way, it's Stupid Trivia for Weirdos here at 6 p.m. Pacific time. And anybody is welcome to play. There is a prize. You can win a $2 Amazon gift card. So come early and stay till the end. And, you could walk away. I think Steven won one once. And
mine was $1.
Oh, yours was $1? Well, I'll do better.
But that's $2 Canadian. So,
That's true. That's true. So Helen, Space Gal, Steven, Admiral, Jack, thank you all for being here. Thanks to everybody who watched, and thank you to all of my sponsors. I really appreciate that as well. And geez, that's it. Yeah, please, thank you, Felicia, for hi, Felicia. How many people say that, right? Thank you for following me. I appreciate that. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for being on with me. I really appreciate it. You as well.
Good night, everyone.
Yes, night,
Thank
y'all.
you.
Good night, everybody.